G'day, welcome back to my second video in the Battle of Eckmuhl. It's actually the third video. The first one was a short setup one. I'm not going to recap turns 1 to 6. If you want to have a look at those, there's a link in the top corner. Go back and watch that. We're just going to crack into it. A lot's happened. It's turn 7. I've already rolled for initiative and there's a bunch of charges gone down, and we're just going to leap straight into it and go through what's happened on the field. So I think we'll start up here by overstanding. The French got 5 ADCs and the Austrians got 2. The Austrians gave their man Neustetter, they gave him a redeploy and a reroll, and he's going on to the attack, and he's launched a charge over the stream into these skirmishes. Going down the line, Grill and Radavolovich have both gone hesitant, so that's not good. And over here, Razi, he didn't receive anything because there was no more love to give. So he's in a bit of pain because all 3 of his battalions are unformed. The French, Barbanja's launched a charge with his weak battalion. It's got 8 casualties, but he can't resist attacking that unformed Landwehr battalion. This battalion can't do anything. It's unformed, so it's an unsupported charge. Had 2 options there. I could have withdrawn that back to the second line and moved the other one forward, but I don't want to give the Austrians time to reform, so they've gone in, even though they're a bit sick. In the centre, Grenadier, he has been given Post of Honour and Glory. So he has launched an assault here with 2 battalions, 2 fresh battalions across the stream. They'll take a casualty marker each for crossing the stream at full speed from fatigue and disorganisation, but they're going to hit this large battalion before it can reform. They're probably going to take some fire from the guns, and this will still pump out an inferior volley, but they're hoping that the momentum can carry them through, and that will pretty much roll up the whole left flank of the Austrian line. So we're going to crack into the charges, and then we'll get on with normal movement and combat. Right, down here the Austrians will face the charge a little bit, and they've only got a weak volley, so 1 CD, but that will do a hit, so it will take them to 9. Could go both ways here. So in the combat, in the charge, I believe the Austrians will be rolling 3 dice because they are unformed, and the French will be rolling 3 dice because they're over 6 casualties. We'll be taking the lower 2. Right, so the French have done appallingly bad, and the Austrians have done very well. So it was a bad decision. That's a win by 5. So lead unit withdraw, 1D casualties, supports halt, 1D defender stands. So the French are going to go to 10 casualties, and they are going to retire to the second line, just not how they're a lot quicker than they thought they would. So these boys are going to bounce back across the creek. Well, that didn't go so well for the French. It was a bit of a gamble. We're trying to stove in that flank while we could. On to the next combat with the French charge across the stream. So the Austrians get an inferior volley because they're unformed. They get 1 CD because they're large, and 1 CD for a column within 3 inches. and that is really, really going to hurt. So inferior volley is 3 in a DT, so they're going to take 5 casualties. They already took one crossing the stream, so they should be at 6, so they're going in worn. And the other one, its support, took a casualty for crossing the stream as well. But wait, that's not all. The Austrian guns could target them before they crossed the stream. So I think it's not a -1 because the guns are on the slope. So it's just a standard shot, and they're going to roll 6, which I think is just going to be one more. It's just going to take them to 7, which is the crucial one because with Post of Honour, he goes in, but he gains one of his casualties back because of the Post of Honour. So he is going to be rolling 4 dice because he took 3 casualties in the charge and he's worn. And the Austrians are going to be rolling 3 dice because they're unformed. Oh, it's a 5-5, but the French get 1 reroll for the supporting column. It gives them a 6, and they get 1 reroll for Post of Honour. So they'll re-roll the 3. So 10. So that's a win by 5. So I think that's the same result as before. Take the ground, defender retreats 40 CDs. So we'll roll 4 CDs. Oh, 3. That takes them up to 8. Now the problem these guys have got is they're now on 8 casualties. They've got to retreat, but they've got no one behind them to reform on. So there's a running, and they keep a running. So that brigade's gone. Battalion's gone. So a major breakthrough for the French. These lads take the ground. So they paid a high price in blood, but they've faltered Razi's brigade. Right, the Austrian battalion comes across the stream, and the skirmishers fire and evade, and they'll do 1 hit. And the Austrians get 1 CD, which they fail, so the French skirmish line just withdraws in good order. I think these boys go across and take the ground. Bottom of turn 7 movement, man. Things are hotting up. So Razi's obviously faltering, but his unformed battalions have reformed. The French have pushed forward with their 1 healthy battalion, and they've moved the skirmish line forward to threaten what's left of the Austrian skirmish line. Here, the French, there's nothing here, so the French skirmish line has come forward, and they're going to start whittling away at the guns. The other French columns are pouring across the stream now. The Austrians battalion here, I think it's the Ludwig regiment, they've reformed. They want to push forward with this in support, but Grilla's gone hesitant, so he can't move any of his battalions forward, which is a real pain. Over here, the French have realised that they're exposed on the flank, so they're frantically stepping back to try and form a new line. The Austrians really just needed a few more ADCs because they wanted to push forward with this column and move this line up and start shooting at the French before they could get their line reorganised, but it's not worked out well for them. Oh, and the last move that the Austrians will make will be to bring this battalion out of, form this out. They're abandoning Oberstanding. Poor Timmy's dog. So yeah, they're coming out. So it's a lot of action going down. We're moving into the firing phase now. French won the initiative, so they're going to get to go first. French skirmish line there. Going to shoot across the stream, minus the cover. They're going to get one. Austrians to reply with just 2 dice. But they're also going to get one. Well done. Austrian skirmishers there across the creek. That line battalion in the maze. No joy there. And 4 French shots with the skirmishers at the Austrian gun teams. And they're going to get one on the Austrians. They don't like that. Right, the last skirmish fight is over here. I don't think hedges give any cover. So the French are going to get 4 dice. And they're going to do 1, which will take a base off, which could be disastrous because they're down to their last base now, Austrians, and they'll get 2 shots back and do nothing. So that's all skirmishes taken care of. Over to the guns. I think we'll start with the French battery on the hill there. They're on assault fire. They're going to blast that line again. And they are going to roll a 9 and 1, but they are at long range. So it's an inferior volley. It's still 1. It's just 1, but they get 2 on them. So these guys are now on 9 casualties. Over to the French artillery on the hill, and they'll target these Austrian line just here. 7 inferior volley. It's going to inferior battery. It's just going to be 1. Pushes them up to 10, slowly but surely. And we only have 1 Austrian battery to fire because the other one fired in the charge phase, and it's going to continue to blast that line, that brigade that's broken out into line. Yes, 5. That won't do anything at all. So that skirmish line of Resines was driven in. It's down to 1 base. Something I got wrong in my Castella game. If the brigade's faltering and they're down to 1 base and they came off, I thought it was 2, but that's kind of the old original rules, I think. We've only got 1 set of volley fire. That's these boys here. They're worn, so they're going to give inferior volley, but they're going to get 2 CDs because of the column and they're a large battalion. And they're going to dish out a 8, which is inferior volley. It's just 1. Takes these boys up to 2. Top of turn 8. Both sides got 3 ADCs. It's a tale of woe for the Austrians, however. They put 2 ADCs here, 1 for the faltering brigade and 1 for a reroll. I mean, I contemplated using Stand With Me, but I just wanted to keep that one up my sleeve. when it gets really dodgy, and perhaps I should have spent it because they only rolled a 1 and then they rolled a 3, so they got wavering, so they're still faltering. However, the rest of their 3 brigades are all rearing to go, and Radovolovich is being given orders to redeploy, so he's committing to the fight. The French, they got 3 as well, and they put their guns back on assault fire, and they put their skirmishers on tasking to try and whittle down the Austrian guns. They gambled on everything else, and it paid off. No one went hesitant, and they won the initiative easily, and they've sent their last fresh brigade in against these reservists in an effort to try and break them before they can unfalter. So no one's getting any support. They'll get 1 CD shooting and do nothing, and then I think it's just a straight 2d6 roll again to see if the French can go in. And it's a 9-7 to the Austrians, so these Austrian reserve recruits are made of sterner stuff. I can't see anywhere where they'd get any re-rolls to French, so they are just going to, that's going to be a win by 2, which is halt, volley, defend to stand. So they get 1 CD shot, and they'll put a casualty on the reservists. So the French can't scare those boys off. They're hard as nails. Right, so that's charges. Let's crack into movement. Bottom of turn 8 movement. You can see Neustetter has pushed his battalions across the stream now in front of Oberstanding. The French have brought their skirmish line up to try and slow them down, and the French battalions are frantically backpedaling to try and form a new line. They've got problems because they can't turn ready to face that battalion because there's another battalion coming across the creek now as well, across the stream. So they're sort of stuck in a difficult position. The rest of the brigade is strung out in line now. They're going much more defensive because you can see these big battalions coming down off the hill, ready to make a big push here to try and relieve pressure on the Austrian left flank. The French guns are on assault fire again. They're going to try and hammer these boys before they go in. The columns are ready to go, they just can't get the orders to do it. Over on the other side, the Resia is still faltering, so the French battalions of boxing them in, they're trying to finish them off, but they're also well aware that Radovolovich's cavalry is streaming down the hill towards them, so they're trying to put a battalion in there to try and slow them down. Right, let's move into skirmish fire. 5 shots here from the French light battalion. And they're going to do 2, taking these boys up to 3. Across the stream, 5 becomes 4. Nothing. Austrians will reply with 2, and they'll also get nothing. But further down, the Austrians have got 3 there, so they're going to get 3 shots at that French line. Nothing again. French skirmish line at the guns. They're on skirmisher tasking, so they're going to get a total of 6. And they'll do 1 on the guns, taking them to 2. The last skirmisher fight is really a non-event. 3 shots at the Austrian line. Oh, but they'll do 1, and that'll take them up to 11. Oh, dangerous. Let's kick into artillery fire. French guns here will take a long shot at these boys on the hill, and they'll just hurt themselves. They're now sitting on 3 fatigue casualties. The far French guns, they're on assault fire. They're going to pound this line again. And they're going to roll 7, which will be 1 and 1 extra casualty for assault fire. So it takes these guys up to 11. And they're going to get bounced through for the boys behind them. And they will. So they also get a casualty. Austrian guns in reply. I think they're going to shoot at this column that's coming up. Five. They're not in canister range. They will get a CD because they're column and effective range though. So I think they just get the 1. Takes these boys to 2. On to volleys. These boys here will shoot 1 dice. 6. Yep, they'll add a casualty to these guys. These boys have been on fire. These lads will do an inferior volley. I don't think they get the CD for the column now because they're worn, but they do get 1 for a large battalion. And a 5, whew, inferior volley, no, it's just nothing. I think that's all the volleys there is. Right, on to turn 9. Top of turn 9, charge phase. In the initiative, the Austrians got 6 ADCs. They put 2 on Razi. He rolled a 4 and was ready to hesitant. They gave a couple to Radovolovich, and he went with glory and forwards, and he's come racing down the hill and he's about to barrel into this French column. The French unit here reacted by forming square, and these guys elected to stay in column and face them. Grill is gone hesitant, so he's not moving. And down here, Neustetter, he was given glory and a reroll, and his boys are charging in across the stream, and they're charging the French light battalion there. So there's a lot of charges going on, and down here, the French got 3 ADCs. They gave 2 here, glory and a reroll. So infantry support and a reroll, I think. So they're going in here, and here they got infantry assault, but Grandenu got confused. He doesn't understand his orders. He doesn't look like the look of the cavalry coming down the hill, so he's called off the assault at the last minute. So we'll move into the first one, the Austrian cavalry going in to the column. Let's take a closer look at that. So the French will get 1 shot, and they will do a casualty. And then we'll roll the charge dice. Neither has more than 3 casualties, or unformed, or is worn, so they're rolling 2 dice each. The French will get 6 and the Austrians will get 9. As far as rerolls go, formed infantry in column versus battle or campaign reroll. So They both get a re-roll each because the Austrians got support. So the French are going to re-roll a 3 and get a 1. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And the Austrians won't re-roll, so that's a win by 5. Win by 5, cavalry versus infantry, combat with alarm, defender unformed. So, in they go. The Austrians committed their reserves right at the right moment and caught the French unawares. Right, let's take a look at the infantry combat over here. The reserves is going to shoot another shot and get another casualty. Way to go, boys. Takes these lads up to 3, but that's not anything, so we're going to roll combat dice. Can the Landwehrers set them off again? Can they do it? They bloody well can. That's 3, 4. The French have a re-roll though, so they're going to re-roll the 1. 6, 4. That'll get them in by 1. So in they'll go. Only just. So that's 2 combats that are going in. Lastly, we have the Austrian charge here. French won't get to shoot because it's not an arc. It's not a flank charge though, I don't think. So it's just 2 dice each. The Austrians have got 10. The French have got 4. But they have got support, so they're going to do a re-roll of the 1 and get 6. So it's a win by 4, which is infantry versus infantry. Take the ground, defender retreats, and 40 CDs casualties. Supports withdraw. So the support withdraws, and he takes no casualties. And the leading unit is going to retreat and takes 4 CDs casualties, so he's just going to take 1. So I think the French are going to need to call in their cavalry reserve because their left is crumbling. Right, on to normal movement. Recapping the movement for turn 9, you can see Neustadt is pushing hard. He's moving his battalions around. He's seen off these French columns. They've rushed back up the hill, nearly off the table. So Gilly is in all sorts of trouble. He's moving his battalions back. He swung his skirmish line around to try and delay the Austrian advance. They really need Pajol to come on and save the day here. Sadly, over in the centre of the Austrian line, they've got fresh big battalions ready to cross the stream and really get stuck in, but Grill just doesn't understand his orders. He's not moving. He's not the only one. Grandenu has also stalled his attack, so both generals will be getting quite frustrated about the centre. The Austrian cavalry's gone in. We're going to see how that turns out, and also the French lines have gone in, so we could see the Rezes brigade quit the field this turn, but we could also see a disaster with the French as the Austrian cavalry comes through. Let's move into shooting. French light battalion in the foreground there. They're going to still get 5 shots. And they're going to do another one on these boys coming up the hill. The other skirmish line in the field, they're also going to get 5. And they're also going to do 1 to these lads. So Austrian columns coming under heavy skirmish fire as they advance. Over in the centre, the Austrians there still on the stream, they're only going to get 3. But that's not going to be enough, even if I re-roll that one. And the only other skirmishes we've got are these ones down here, still trying to pick away at that Austrian line. They're going to get 4 dice. And they'll get nothing. Over to artillery fire. I don't know if these French guns can shoot anymore. because those French battalions are masking their target. So it might be just the Austrian guns in the hill are definitely going to have a crack at these boys. And they're going to get 9. That could be a disaster for the French. 9 inferior. It's just going to be 1, but it is going to take these guys to 11. So that is not good. And let's look at the other French guns there. They're still going to carry on trying to hammer that column that Grenadiers standing in front of. And they're going to get 10, but they're not at effective range. 10 is just 1 under GT. So these boys are going up to 12. French trying to get bounced through, and they do. And then the Austrians have a discipline test. 3, that is not good. That's a retreat, and 4 CDs casualties. That's 2. So these boys had to retreat. They're 1 off dying, and they're not in a good way. No. The Austrian battery will continuing firing at that French line. I don't think that'll be anything. We don't really have any volley fire, so it's down to the melees. Okay, into the Austrian hussars charging into the French column. I've worked it out to be the Austrians get 6 dice, start with 5, add 2 for Elan and Glory, lose 1 because they're a small unit. The French start with 4, but they're unformed, so they go down. Start with 5, but they're unformed, so they go down to 4. Well, that's so good on either side. 2 for the Austrians, 2 for the French. That's a draw. So cavalry withdraw, infantry stand. Bit of a non-event. That was a big Austrian hope as well. Over to this combat. I think it's a straight 5-5. Oh, once again, the Austrian Landwehr, they're the butterbean of Austria. They're kicking butt, so they're going to go to 7. And these guys are going to go to 2. Going to break the Landwehr. No. That's a win by 3. Win by 3. Win or take ground, lose the retreat. So I think these guys just go back to where they were as a support. They probably shouldn't have moved forward in the first place. And these boys are going to fall back across the stream. Barbage's brigade is looking pretty ragged now. I think they've hit the high water mark. They almost broke that brigade, but they're tumbling back down across the stream now. I don't know if they've got the gas left in the tank. If they could kill that, if they could just kill that ragged Austrian line behind the recruits, then the brigade would collapse. But it ends 10-9, on to 10-10. A lot of movement for turn 10. The French used Chief of Staff this time and ended up with 7 ADCs. The Austrians, I want to say they got 4. That might change. So the French reformed their battalions here. Friant attached to Gilly and told him to get his act together. Pajol was issued a few dice and he came on. He's ready to cause havoc on the Austrian right. Grill moved his troops forward and then realised he hasn't got redeploy orders, so he can't cross the stream and go on the offensive, he can just move up to the centre line. The French moved their battalions forward, happy to engage him. The French used a couple of ADCs to put their guns back on infantry assault. They're really trying to hit that rear Austrian battalion because it's only one casualty away from breaking. Hopefully they can get a bounce through. Grandineux, his horse is stuck in the swamp or something. He can't sort out what's going on. His brigade is frozen. The cavalry's scaring him witless. Over here, I'm not really sure why there's an ADC there. Over here, Barbanger, he's been given a reroll and he's also put his skirmishers back on tasking. That rear Austrian battalion, it's on 11. It just needs a few more gone and it's gone, and that will disperse the brigade there. So the French are trying to whittle down the weakest parts of the Austrian line. The Austrians, for their part, I think Radovolevich has gone hesitant. He can't understand why his cavalry charge didn't send him all the glory that he wanted, and that's about all they could do. They did a few re-rolls and over to initiative, which I haven't rolled for yet. We're into French skirmish fire. Neustetter couldn't get his act together, so his battalions are frozen, so they're going to take more skirmish fire. French have got 5 dice here. They're not going to do anything. They've got another 5 dice here. That's going to do 1. It pushes them almost to Warn. The Austrians are on the creek line now. They've got 3 dice into the French skirmish line, but they ain't going to do anything. Centre of the table, the Austrians have got 4 dice, sorry, because they're across the creek now. But they're going to do 1, takes these guys up to 2. The last skirmish line is over there in the wheat field, and they're trying to whittle down that Austrian main big battalion. They've got 4 dice plus skirmisher tasking. So they're just going to do 1. French guns here are going to shoot at those same Austrian battalion. 8. I think there's just going to be 1. That's going to take them to 13, 2 away from dying. The other French guns, they're on assault fire. They're firing at these guys. They're going to hope for some bounce through. So they've gone up to 3 fatigue casualties. The French gunners are getting really tired. They've put 1 on the battalion. I'm guessing they still get their bounce through. So these guys go to 3. Rolling for bounce through. Oh, and they got it. And that will kill those guys, which is what they wanted to do. And that's going to falter Grill's brigade. So this battalion has had enough and it's off. All right, the Austrian guns in reply, they're also on assault fire. They're going to blast these boys right here. 7, I think that's just 1. Takes him to 3. And they're going to try and get bounced through. No. The last Austrian guns will have a crack at these boys coming onto the table. 9. That'll probably be at least 1. Volley fire, I think this column's taken enough from the skirmish line, so they're going to try and shoot back for a change. Yep, and they'll take them up to 4. Should have probably been that last time. The French line here is going to crack into the Austrians as they come across. There's a line in the stream there. I'm going to say it's an inferior volley because they're still in the stream. 7 is still going to be 1 on the Austrians. The Austrians are going to reply with 2 CDs, 1 for a large battalion and 1 for a column, because they're in the column, and they're going to do 2 on the French, so it takes them to 5. The Grenzer column's going to give the French column a belt. French will go first. I'll give them one first. No, the Austrians will do two back. Good on you, boys. So they'll go up to 5. So Grenzer needs to get his act together because his boys are just getting shot to ribbons in the columns, in the stream there. He just can't get them out. He needs to get them moving. I think it's down to a few single dice over here, but desperate times. Everyone's shooting in column. These French lads will crack into the Austrians there. No, the French column will crack into these guys. Yes. Goes to 3, and these guys will fire back. The Landwehr are on fire. It's now worn these guys. So Babanger's brigade is basically cooked. But so is the brigade they're facing. The Landwehr are just holding the flank there by themselves. Bottom of turn 11 with the movement. The French got 5 ADCs. The Austrians only got 2. And they had to give them both to Grill because he was faltering. He's rolled a 5 and gone back up to Hessedant. Not a lot of movement because he couldn't move his battalions. The Radovolovich brought his cavalry down. He's kind of masked his guns, but he's forcing all the French battalions to stall. This one's gone back into square. Razi's pretty much spent. He's hesitant as well, so he's not doing much. The French have broken out into line here. They're going to try and... They can't charge they can't charge the Landwehr away. They're going to try and shoot them away. The skirmishers come up to help. These skirmishers are going to try and finish these guys off. Over on the Austrian right, I mean, they made a good breakthrough, but they deployed out in line, but the skirmishers are just withdrawn out of range, and the cavalry's come forward to force them to just stand there and take it. And these guns here will continue to hammer away. Gardenu, I don't know, he's fainted or something because he just won't. I almost put an ADC on to get him moving. I thought, no, he's bound to be right, but he's still refusing to do anything. So he's stuck there. No charges this turn. Let's just get straight into skirmish fire. French here, they've got skirmisher tasking. So it's going to give them 6 dice. They're going to get 2, and that's going to take these guys to 15 and take them off the table. So they finally broke these. So that's over 50% of that brigade. So the brave Landwehr are retiring, covered in glory from the field. They did amazingly. Or it could be that I just don't know the rules and they should have run away ages ago. One of the two, but I'm going to say covered in glory. The Austrians will also lose one of their ADCs now. Probably the British war correspondent guy that's been standing in, since I don't really have any ADCs for my Austrian army. Moving into the centre, the Austrians have got 4 shots here at the French. And they'll do 1. Over on the Austrian right, the French left, the French got a good strong skirmish line still here. They're going to crack 5 shots away, and they're going to get 2, taking these guys to 5. And these guys here have got the same, and that'll take these guys up to Warn. Two Austrian skirmishers, probably just out of shot. They've got 3 shots at the French line, and they're going to do squat. So I didn't need to move the camera. There you go. Into the centre, we've got volley fire. I think it's an inferior fire from the French, because these boys are in the stream. 8 is still going to be 1. These guys go up to 2. and the Austrians are going to get 2 cities back, one for a column and one for a large battalion, and they'll get squat. The only other shooting you can see is this Austrian one here, but the French will go first. They'll shoot 1. No, Austrians will turn fire, and they'll get 1, and they'll wear these guys out. Gardiner is letting his troops bleed to death. He's lost it. He can't cope with the smoke and the noise. And that rounds up turn 11. Right, unfortunately turn 12 turned into a bit of a mess. I got a bit confused. I started doing charges and moving things and all sorts, so I thought I'd just fight all the charges and record it after I'd done that, but it's got too exciting, so I can't. I'll relay what's happened so far and then we'll carry on from there. So, Radovanovich has thundered down the hill and he's smacked into the French column, and the French rolled 4 and the Austrians rolled 10. So that's a 6-zip win, so they destroyed them. The other Austrian move was to give Grill glory and to move down in there. So I'm just about to fight that combat now. So the French are going to get 1 shot, and they don't do anything. I think these guys are on 2, 3. So now it's just a straight roll off. And the Austrians didn't do so well. The French are going to use a re-roll because they've got 1, and they're going to get 8-4. So that's a win by 4, which is lead unit withdraws 1 casualty. So they're not going to take a casualty, but they're going to withdraw. The only other charge is the French cavalry going in to the Austrian column there. The Austrians are going to give them 1 shot and not do anything. They're both going to roll their dice. The French get a re-roll because they've got support. They'll get to 9, and the Austrians are on 8, and they get a re-roll because they are a column. I think they're going to risk it and do a re-roll, and they're going to get to 10, so they're going to win by 1. Defender stands, loser retreats, 1 casualty dice each. So the French are going to take another casualty and withdraw. Right, a bit of a mess because I did move some of the Austrians and French troops around. I'll finish movement and then I'll come back. End of movement for turn 12. Not much has happened on the French right flank. They're both hesitant, so they just took that charge from the cavalry and sucked it up and lost big time. On the Austrian side of things, Brill tried to go in here, lost. He's broke this battalion into a column and broke this one out into line to engage the French. These ones are paralysed. The French cavalry went in, but they couldn't shift the column, and they've withdrawn back, and the French have formed their battalions in the column over there and ready to come in and try and take this side with infantry assault. So let's go on to skirmish fire and see how we get on. Over here, the French have still got 5 shots, and that's going to do another one. Take these guys to Warn. They'll do the same on these guys here. There'll be another one on these guys, taking them to 7. Moving down the middle of the table, Austrians have got 3 shots here. It'll take these guys up to Warn, and they have 4 shots over here, and it'll take these guys up to 4. So the skirmishing element's still playing a big part in the game at turn 12. That's all skirmish fire done. Artillery. French guns are on assault fire again. They're going to try and attack these guys here. Or they're going to do 12. They're not an effective range though. Still 3 in a DT. 7, it's just enough for them to stand. But they're going to take 3 casualties. Austrian guns here will shoot on this column. I think they're going to get an extra dice because the column is in effective range. So I think that's going to be 2. So these guys are now on 8. And the other Austrian guns for this column up here on the hill. 9. We won. Volley fire down here in the centre. French go first. It's an inferior volley. It's actually 1 CD because those guys are on the creek and these guys are worn. But it's still going to do 1. And the other French guys are actually just going to get a weak volley on them. 10. Inferior volley at 10 is 3 in a DT. It's going to take them to 6, which is worn. And they're going to roll 8, so they're fine. The Austrians are going to reply. That's 2. 9 is inferior volley. That's 3 casualties on the French, taking these guys up to 9. And that's all the fire. That's the end of turn 12. Top of turn 13 on the French side, they got 5 ADCs. They gave 3 of those to Gilly. He got forwards and infantry assault. And he's gone in on that worn Austrian battalion that came out of overstanding. And the other charge was the Austrian cavalry carried on. They got forwards as well. They got a reroll and glory, sorry, and they've gone into the side of that French battalion there. So French won the initiative, so we'll cover off their charge first. Austrians going to get a volley as they come in. And they're going to roll a 6, which will be just 1. And then we'll roll charge dice. The Austrians have got 4 and the French have got 6, so they've got support, so they might re-roll the 1. 9 to 4, that's a win by 5. Lose a retreat, 4 CDs. Take the ground. So they're going to take 2 more casualties, which will bump them up to 8. And the real problem with that is they've got no one to retreat and form up behind. So they've got over 6 casualties and they've got no one to retreat, so they're going to disperse. And Gilly's brigade is going to falter. That's bad news for the Austrians. Let's go to the bad news for the French. All right, the Austrian cavalry is going to go in, but the French guns are going to fire at them as they go in, and they're on assault fire. So hopefully they can do a bit of damage before the cavalry hits home. And they're going to roll double 6s. Oh dear. So they're going to take 4 casualties because they get 1 from the assault fire CDs. That's going to take them to 7, and they're going to take a discipline check. And that's going to unform them. The French are going to try and form square. 9. Oh, I think that's enough. I think they're going to form square. So the Austrian cavalry is going to go in. They're unformed, so they're going to roll 3 dice. Well, that's a poor roll for the French. 5, 7. They've got support. So, they have to roll another dice because they're worn as well. So they actually roll double ones. They can re-roll one of those. That's a draw. 5-5. 5-5, they didn't make it in. So each one takes a casualty dice, which is nothing, and they withdraw. So they're going to withdraw. The only thing I don't know is this battalion flanks them, so sometimes when you charge and you're flanked, I think you're destroyed. Okay, that turned out to be a very risky move. I checked the rules, and if you charge and you're flanked and you lose, you break and run. But that was a draw, so they escaped up the hill and didn't die, which was very, very lucky. So that's all charges done. We'll go into movement and then we'll come back. 13, she's been a bit of a hairy turn, this one. The Austrians are back in trouble. The French formed square and saved their lives, but I might just take Alba standing, eh? It won't be mine. This battalion's heading that way, so my master plan might have got there in the end. Here, I've moved the skirmishers up. These guys are just in a world of pain now. The cavalry's come forward. The brigade's faltering. The French lines have withdrawn back here. They're taking too much of a caning from that big line. The line can't cross the creek because they're not on offensive orders. They're still on defensive orders. Over here, I withdrew to the second line with this battalion because it is getting munted. The Austrians can sense a quick win here, so they're trying to rush more troops up to sort Grandeneuer out. He's been pretty much useless the whole game. Down here, Babanja, his battalion was attacked. The guns did the damage and they managed to form square, and that was enough to see Radovolovich off. So well done, boys. You saved the day. Into skirmish fire for the turn. These skirmishers are going to crack into this line. Going to give them some more pain, and they're going to do nothing. These boys will do the same, and they'll do 2, taking these lads up to 9. The skirmishers here will crack 3 into the line. No, and these other guys will give this line 4. Yep, I'll take 1. No more skirmish fire. Artillery. The Austrian guns will have another crack at the cavalry. They'll just give themselves a fatigue casualty. So French guns at this Austrian column. 9 will be 2, so 3 and a DT takes them to 6. So they are now worn. Oh, that is not good. That's a runaway. That is a retreat and D4 casualties. So they're going to take another 3 casualties. They're going to come back behind these guys. Austrian guns on the French column. They're also going to get a casualty dice. But they're in the stream, so I think it's an inferior battery. It's still going to be 2. Mind you, the Swiss are in perfect well, they were. They were in mint condition. They're not anymore. 2. That's all the gunfire, all the artillery. That battery fired, the other battery fired, and there's no volley fire. So that's turn 13 to a close. Recapping turn 14, over on the French right, Barbages has limbered up his guns. He's got his skirmishers through into the woods to the side of the Austrian artillery, so they're going to start shooting at those guys. GdA2, I've got no words for you, son. You have gone hesitant again. You haven't got out of the creek. He got down into the hills, got into the creek, and he hasn't come out. Biggest disappointment for the French. That was part of the main attack, and he just got in there and wallowed about in the mud and didn't come out. And he's just getting hammered by artillery, and he won't move. The Austrians are reformed the cavalry, they reformed their infantry and came down. Grell has been given a redeploy order and gone over to attack. He's moving his battalions across the stream at a last-ditch effort to break the French. The French have slowly pulled back, so they should be just out of volley range because the Austrians will be a little bit further back. I just haven't moved the hedge. They reformed the cavalry, and over here they've used all their ADCs to put both of their skirmish lines on skirmish tasking. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can give each skirmish line a skirmish tasking, but that's what I've done. And the battalions are turned around for assault. Neustetter, he was faltering, but he's rallied, so he's hesitant. But this battalion here is in a world of pain. If that breaks, that's the game. So let's go into skirmish shooting and see how we get on. Okay, the French Light Battalion, so on skirmisher tasking, you're going to get seven dice. And they are going to do 3 casualties, which takes them to 12, which kills the battalion. And that in turn disperses the brigade because they've only got these boys, one formed unit left. So I'll call the game there because they'll disperse. That skirmish line would go as well. I think they should have gone a turn ago probably because they're down to 2. So that's 2 brigades that are gone. I don't believe it. The French have got to win. I probably got the rules wrong and they didn't really win, but I'm going to call it a victory for the French. It's a bloody good game. The Austrians were really in a world of hurt there. They couldn't extract that battalion. It was on the wrong angle, so it was always in trouble. Over here, the French battalions were hurting, and there was a worn large Austrian battalion against them. But I mean, this battalion here still had only had 5 casualties. So, and these skirmishers are moving into canister range now. So I think the centre was in a bit of danger as well. The biggest disappointment for the French was, GdA2. He just got stuck in the stream. I don't know what he was doing. Who knows what he was doing? Picking flowers or something. Over here, Barbages did really well. That forming square saved the French, because if the Austrian cavalry had rolled those, they were in all sorts of pain, because these boys here were, they're nearly dead. So that was well done, and probably the Austrian unit of the game was the Landwehr. They held the flank by themselves while all was chaos around them. They held it for about 3 turns before they fell over. So It's a really good game. If you made it right through to the end, thanks for watching. Cheerio.